Yeah, it works. For that, we're getting so good at this.
There we
Would you
go.
believe that? Would you believe we do this every single week? And it take us this long. So, do you remember what episode are we on now?
At 82.
82. I'm glad that you keep track of these, even though it's supposed to be my podcast or what have you. So, welcome to episode 82 of the Karl's Corner podcast. And as usual, I'm joined by Lucas. Say hello, Lucas.
Hello, Lucas.
And then, that's a can of coffee, but if it helps people at home to imagine it's a beer, pretend it's a beer.
There we go.
But yeah, it's just a can of coffee because I just had a mare today. And Lucas, straight to it, man. How you been?
Not bad, not bad. Like, I set up like my home barbecue yesterday. I built it myself, so my back's feeling the pain of that today. Because like,
Yeah, I
yeah,
need to know. Was it like the episode of The Simpsons where Homer tries to set up a barbecue?
no, it actually wasn't. Like, it actually is a fully formed barbecue, and I was
It's,
really kind of disappointed that nothing went wrong because I had that image like locked and ready to go of like
yes.
the comparison of the Simpsons. Like, oh, this is about as well as Homer did it, but no, it
Yeah,
actually went fine.
it's arguably one of the strongest episodes from like the later seasons of The Simpsons. Just the image of Homer charging the barbecue with the umbrella like Frank West at a dead right. Like, yeah,
And it's just that shot, isn't it? Where it's like the perfect barbecue. He's
yeah,
staring at it like, and then lifts down the packaging
yeah.
and it's the
Why
mess.
doesn't mine look like that? Or like on the best line of the episode, Le Grill. What the hell is that? Well, yeah, for the folks at home that are listening to this, as usual, it's being recorded live on Twitch. So, hello to the people listening there. We will refer to
Hello.
chat as and when we feel like it, but we tend to record these live just so people can, just have that experience, I guess, because I prefer to record them just privately, myself and you, but there
Hmm.
seems to be some value people find in watching us sit here in the makeshift studios we've had to build in our homes.
That's true, yeah. And it's one of those, it's weird. Like, I understand the appeal of wanting to watch a podcast, and obviously every now and then we can call on chat if need be, but it's weird when we get those ones like last week where someone's like, wow, you guys are just talking to each other. It's like, yeah, because that's what a podcast is.
I want to know what podcast that person watches or listens to, I should say. Well, I guess they're watching them, yeah, because
Yeah, yeah.
they're excited about the idea of being in chat for it. Where they're like I want to know what they're like. Just where the two people are talking, but then whenever something cuts in, like imagine having a conversation, but you open up the room to a bunch of other people. So like, imagine going to like a speech or a talk or something like that,
Hmm.
and like they generally do Q&A and stuff at the end, but like halfway through when they're talking, like you walked into the room late and went, oh sorry, what were you talking about again? And the guy on stage had to stop and explain what he was doing. It's like, no man, that would not be acceptable in real life, and yet the internet has kind of like broken down that wall.
It has, yeah, yeah. But
And
it's a bit weird, and like I don't obviously mind. Don't like if people talk in chat, you can talk in chat. And I
oh
think
yeah,
for the most part, like whenever I've seen other people podcast on Twitch live, it's for like people to have a discussion about the topic between themselves in chat, and
yes.
then the host can refer to that even when they want to. But it's very strange to me of like, well, why aren't you sitting there podcasting referring to chat constantly? It's like, well, because that's not a podcast at that point.
No, that's like I wouldn't know what to describe that as. Probably like an extended Q&A sequence or session.
Yeah, essentially. Uh,
But like, I would love though just to go see in real life that kind of behavior and see how it was treated and how people responded to it. Like
yeah.
it might like Joe, when you say, "Oh yeah, like a dinner and a conversation with," and it's like a guest speaker or something like that, and then just
Mhm.
have that person stumbling in drunk halfway through. Be like, "I'm not if I'm in the right room, but I demand that you pay attention to me."
Oh god. And
Oh,
like I guess we can mention near the top while people are still all listening. Hopefully,
mhm.
of like next week's podcast, like won't be the usual live recording.
Yes. So do you want to explain that? 'Cause, like, I'm presuming the barbecue is being built in anticipation of the time off you're going to be taking. Yes, Lucas.
Yeah, so next week is my girlfriend Jenna's birthday. So generally speaking, we pretty much always just do let's have a week off and do whatever we want and chill out and whatnot. So yeah, next week I'm gonna be off and just like, not recording, generally not streaming or anything like that as well. Just
Yeah.
enjoying a week off with my girlfriend as I'm, inclined to do.
And
Uh,
as like you're entitled to do, man. You've worked hard.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to think I'm entitled to it, but yeah. So that's just generally, take a week off, enjoy Jenna's birthday, and that'll mean that instead of like recording live next week, we will have a podcast going live next week, but it'll be recorded in a couple of days.
Yes, and we've mentioned a couple of times, but you set up like a separate email address that is specifically dedicated to Q&A, because we're kind of phasing Q&A out of the podcast at the moment, just because we tend to do them after an hour of talking, so we can't necessarily go into as much detail as we'd like to or we'd want to.
It's an evolving beast, this podcast, Karl.
It is, yes, and I like that the moment you announced, oh yeah, we're doing that on Twitter, and there's an email address, isn't there, attached, and that email address is what, Lucas?
It's karlscornerqa@gmail.com.
Yeah, the literal first response you got was someone just asking a question in response to the tweet instead of emailing it, and it's like, could the directions be clearer of email this email address?
And luckily,
someone...
it was a reasonable person on Twitter, and someone underneath said maybe like email that across, and I was like, yeah, that would help, because that's what I'm going to use to collate all of the questions. Like, I'm not going to be referring to like Twitter and YouTube and Discord and this and like that.
We set up the email address to like streamline that entire experience. But I always have enjoyed that, because it happens a lot to me. Like I don't announce this much on Twitter anymore, but when I do, like, oh yeah, I'm going live, or my stream will be ending soon. I'll be doing Q&A now. People, and link the Twitch again. People will respond Q&A to the Twitter.
Oh, right.
And then I've had more than one occasion people have got annoyed that I didn't respond to that question. It's like, well, you didn't answer my question. It's like, click the fucking link and ask me that. I'm clearly not just going to sit on Twitter on Twitch.
Yeah,
that's too mad.
That would be a weird one, wouldn't it? But, okay, so what I'm going to do is sit here and keep refreshing my Twitter page. That's why the live Twitch chat is there.
I can see, though, that probably could be a thing. Like, there's everything on Twitch now, isn't there?
Yeah.
And I want to mention that because something that's been getting me through the week is watching weird, salty men get annoyed at the idea that women can sit in a hot tub, live stream it, and get paid. And they're so fucking mad at the idea of women just sitting in a hot tub, living their best life, getting paid thousands of dollars an hour.
Yeah, and I quote tweeted a tweet yesterday being like, you know what? Let hot tub streamers do it. And I even said, like, you know what, if I was going to earn more money sitting in a fucking hot tub streaming, then I'd do it. Like,
yeah,
fair play to those people doing it, and fair play for those people to have the confidence to go and do that and play that fucking game.
Yeah, that's always my favorite response to stuff like that, because like I 100% support it. Like, you know what, you get that side hustle going, you make that money, hate the player, hate the game, not the player, or whatever the fuck it is. Like, and there's just something so funny about how angry men, because it's men getting angry at these women. It's like, it's just all you're doing is sitting in a fucking hot tub. It's like, okay, you do it. You sit in a hot tub. First of all, buy a hot tub, sit in it, record yourself in that hot tub, and see how many views you get. Is it not going to be as many? There we go. So that would indicate that at the very least there's something this person's doing that's enticing people in. And even if that thing is they are very attractive, that still takes concerted effort to do.
It does, because they've got to look after themselves and work out and stuff like that, presumably. Like, for the most part, I would assume so anyway.
Yeah, but, there isn't a level of effort required to be attractive. Like,
there is,
that's evidenced by the fact that I'm here and I'm not. I've got look at my skin's a fucking nightmare at the moment. I'm trying to drink as much water as I can. It's not helping.
Yeah, that's the thing is, like, this is what it looks like when I'm making a bit of effort. So, like, it's not going well. It's not going well at all. But yeah, fair play to anyone who actually can pull it off and do it well and make money from it.
And to me, it's so funny.
It's hilarious, and I find it really funny as well that it's like, well, it's not fair because they're like stealing views from other people. It's like,
who?
If somebody wants to watch a woman in a hot tub on Twitch, whether it's on Twitch or not, they're gonna find something like that they want to watch. It's not of you getting stolen from me, because if they want to go stare at women half naked, they're not gonna come to me if it's not on Twitch.
And as well, the idea, that's not what Twitch was built for. Twitch was built for watching other people play video games. And it's like, it's the smallest high horse I've ever seen people try to climb onto and then still not get onto it. Like, it's like a foot high rocking horse that people are trying to climb onto and then stumbling off. It's like, no, Twitch isn't for this. Twitch is for watching other people play video games.
Well, it's
How is that better?
similar to like Discord, isn't it? Where some subsect of gamers are like upset that it's not just about gaming anymore, and it's
Yeah, people are using it for like anime discussion boards and stuff like that.
but, like they had a product and went, okay, people don't want to use it for just gaming related things. We will be a bigger and better platform if we lean into that. Why would you not?
Yeah.
Like,
And
fuck it.
I have greatly, greatly enjoyed just watching these salty man babies just break down at the idea of like a woman making thousands of dollars an hour.
And I love as well, because obviously a few days back, I think it was, Twitch introduced a new like sub header or whatever they call like new tag within like the Twitch ecosystem of just hot tub streams being a tag.
Yeah.
And it's really funny to me that people then turn that around on Twitch and are like, well, that just means that you're encouraging people to go and watch it now. Like, well, that's not what happened. What happened was that like advertisers didn't want to advertise hot tub streams.
Yeah, they didn't want their products appearing next to a half-naked woman, which is weird because I'll tell you for free, I have seen many an advert where they just have a half-naked woman there, and I don't get that. Plus, as well, like the amount of people who are on Twitch who are just awful people.
Yeah.
Like I've seen ads running next to people who just scream the N-word
Mm-hmm.
on the reg. And that's probably the kind of shit you want to, like, crack down on, because that goes hand in hand with something that happened quite recently. In America, it's a story that happens every couple of like months, but like it tends to break news probably once or twice a year, and it is a school taking yearbook photos, it's like high school, like school photos for like me and you, Lucas, in the UK, and then the girls in that school getting their photos back and finding out that, I shit you not, Lucas, someone has photoshopped over things like cleavage and bare shoulders.
Oh yeah, of course.
So this happened just recently, and like the girls in the school were pissed off because it's like, and the response from the school is, well, these pictures were very sexual in nature. It's like it's a girl sat there in some clothes.
The girl existing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're the one who's sexualizing her. And it's one of those things where I would pay an unreasonable amount of money to see the person who did that explain it publicly and explain why they did it, just to hear them say the words, well, I looked at a picture of this teenage girl and decided that it was sexually explicit. It's like, no, you didn't. It's like, no one else does that. You did that.
Yeah.
And I want to hear them say that publicly and then explain why they had to do it.
It's like, oh, but they had a bit of cleavage showing. It's like, was it a hot day? Well, yeah. Did the boys also have like open shirts? Well, yeah, obviously. Well, okay then. Cool. Or all of the pictures of the lads with exposed chests, is that sexual as well? Like, no, they were just fucking warm.
It's that thing as well of, you just, again, I would pay money to see them try and argue this, just in front of an audience. And not even to like, just to solve the problem, just to hear them say it. It's like, you've probably heard of like girls getting told off like wearing skirts and stuff like that. And the legendary, probably a critical story, I haven't pronounced that word correctly, of like just a dad being brought into school of like, oh yeah, your daughter was wearing a dress that was too short, and he just responded, stop staring at my fucking daughter's thighs. He's like, oh, well, I don't think that your daughter's skirt is like the right length, because why are you staring at my like daughter's thighs? And then the teacher's like, just go home. Oh,
because that's the thing,
every
isn't
time.
It? As well, like when you all right? I do have my background music still running.
Oh, okay, yeah, mate, do it.
Apologies.
Yeah, I should put background music on as well.
Well, I tend not to.
Techno. Thumping techno the entire
but
time.
I put it on for my starting soon screen, and then I forgot to take it off. So apologies about that.
So I do the same thing.
But yeah, it's that thing as well. Like with the hot tub streams of, yes, there is like presumably for the most part it's women doing it in like some kind of bikini or something. And okay, you can see that as sexual, but you're the one sexualizing. Technically they are just in a hot tub, and they know what they're doing for the views, obviously. But again, they can play that hustle, they can play that game. But if you're going to argue it's sexual, it's because you're the one sexualizing it.
Yeah, and it reminds me of just that fantastic discourse around the Sia video, Chandelier.
Mm.
I believe it's the one where they have the ballet dancer. I forget the name of the girl, but she's like in a lot of Sia's videos. She's a really, really talented dancer. And I believe she was like 14, 15 years old when that video is recorded. And she's wearing a leotard, standard dancing attire.
Yeah,
That is like, you'd see worn on any stage. Like it's all the way from like, junior, beginner level, like ballet dancers and dancers, all the way up to like people on the West End doing like
that's
Swan
just
Lake.
what ballet dancers were.
And there was the amount of weird men complaining about that video for being sexualized. It's like, no, it's a girl dancing.
Yeah.
It's like, and the thing is, like, it says more about the person making that criticism than the content itself.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
And I adore when that happens and it gets turned around and you just see the person like, no, let's move on.
It's like, this young girl is wearing a leotard, so what do you find sexual about this video? It's like, oh god. Yeah.
It's so, because you look at it and go, why do you care? It's like, I think I mentioned before, like back in an episode we did about like cheating in school, advised my mum, not advised, but something she told me that girls in her school would do is write answers to questions on their legs and wear tights.
Yeah.
Because they knew that if any teacher ever caught them, and it's like, because they know they don't want to have that conversation with a parent or a supervisor or someone in charge of the exam of, okay, that person's cheating. And how do you know they've got stuff written on their thighs?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. How did you know this?
Yeah, because the moment it's like, well, I saw them like looking at their thighs. It's like, why are you looking at them looking at their thighs? It's like,
Yeah. No one wants to have that conversation.
no.
Yeah, so many people willingly put themselves forward to have that conversation rather than just like mind your own fucking business.
And like, I know their job is to make sure that people aren't cheating, but yeah, I've heard many times of like girls doing that in the past of just like, because the moment that person turns around and goes, they're cheating. Well, how do you know? Well, they've got things on their thighs. It's like, yep.
Do you want to have that conversation in front of the high school principal? Okay, let's go to it. Let's go have that conversation then. And then just the idea on the Twitch thing, like, to bring it back like full circle to that, like it is an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
And like, as you mentioned, Twitch has like cracked down on it, and I'm mad that they've done that.
Well,
Just
Twitch
because
haven't
it's like,
necessarily cracked down on it.
but they put it in its own category because advertisers were pressuring them of, we don't want to have our adverts running against this kind of content. It's like the amount of stuff that's on Twitch that is like unsavory. Like I said, like some of the biggest names on the platform are huge pieces of shit who've actively engaged in disenfranchising others, like using like awful bigoted slurs and just generally propagating like awful ideals or just a toxic personality and mindset. And how come they get ads run against theirs? Like, why do they suddenly draw the line? And by they, I mean advertisers. Just a person wearing a bikini.
I think the difference is it's very quick and easy to just go, person's half naked, I don't want to advertise against that. Whereas when it's, vitriolic hatred and shit like that, and it's when it comes down to what someone's saying on Twitch, you then have to be showing advertisers like individual clips of individual creators, giving examples of why you shouldn't advertise on this specific person's stream.
Yeah. And I know there's like more
becomes a
logistics
lot
involved.
more granular and like just it's a lot of effort, and advertisers don't like spending a lot of time and effort on something.
Yeah, and the logistics of like tracking all that stuff down to showcase an advertiser, as opposed to just like, here's a screenshot of, I don't know, like fucking Coca-Cola next to someone in a hot tub. It's like, that's not the kind of lifestyle that we want to be associated with. Even though I'd argue all advertisers should want to be all on board with that. Because if I was advertising a product, I would want it to be used by people who are rich in a hot tub, because that's the kind of lifestyle I want people to associate with my product.
It's weird, isn't it? Because as well, like, going back to video games specifically,
Yes.
like video games for the longest time in conventions and stuff used like booth girls,
Yeah,
in
babes.
provocatively dressed, booth girls to like try and help push a product and be like, look, like, you want to go buy the Nintendo DS because there's girls that have sexy t-shirts on, and it's like, I can't remember what it said, but it was like something written across like the girls' chests of like touching is good or something like that to promote the Nintendo DS.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, okay. And then you've got, 15 years later or whatever it is, you've got no, like this free advertisement next to like half naked women in hot tubs. That's not okay.
And that's the thing, it's the inherent sexism, isn't it? Where they're happy to use sexuality and a woman's sexuality to advertise something, but they want to use it on their terms, even though the term should be completely on behalf of the woman in question, because she's the one doing it. It's like the moment a woman takes agency and uses her own sexuality for her own ends, not for someone else's, for her own, to make her own money using it, suddenly that's the problem.
Yeah, and before anyone wants to get into like arguments of, well, it's against like terms of service on Twitch, like
No,
it
it's
does
not.
say that you are allowed to wear stuff like swimsuits and bikinis if it's in an appropriate setting, like on
Like
the
a hot
beach
tub.
or in a hot tub.
Yeah,
And
that's the
the
one.
only qualifiers are that you've got to like cover your like you've got to cover your genitals and your nipples, and you've got to make sure that even when wet, that doesn't become like see-through or even like translucent or anything like that. They've got to be covered at all times, and that's the only stipulation. So they are going and sticking with the term service, and the only thing they could, I guess, be brought up on is like it being sexual content. But again, it's only sexual content if you're sexualizing it. It's very subjective.
Yeah, and when it's subjective, it generally should be exciting. Like, so that's why the things like that exist, like shades of grey and all that. But you don't ever want to like be on the side like the puritanical, just shutting down someone's right to like dress comfortably in their own skin. Like, maybe you don't want to be on that side of an argument. Uh, it's just we could probably move away from that now because you know what, this is not probably the best conversation for two white dudes to be having. But just know that me and Lucas, like, we respect women and want them to be able to have the ability to do whatever the fuck they feel like with their own bodies.
Yeah, 100%. And like people might have just noticed me on the video version chuckling a little bit. That's
What
because
happened?
Karl, I've got something that we may be qualified a bit more to talk about.
Which is
It was I meant to bring this up last week, but we got sidetracked. It was
okay.
that Joe Rogan claimed that soon straight white men won't be allowed to talk anymore because of like wokeness.
Like, Joe, my favorite thing about that is he's saying that on the literal most subscribed to podcast on Spotify.
I'm being silenced, says the most listened to man ever. It's like, real.
Yeah, and something similar happened. I forget who it was now, like some weird, like right wing shit stirrer went on Twitter to complain about the fact they'd been cancelled because the speech they were going to get, they've been banned from a flight or something like that for being a shitbird.
Right.
And it's just that thing of they're announcing on Twitter that I have been cancelled and my ideas are not allowed to like permeate through the social media ecosystem.
Yeah.
And there's zero self-awareness.
And I think I found like the little quote here. If you want to hear it,
I don't really want to hear it now. So I guess
you
that
don't
means
want to hear it.
I guess that means Joe Rogan's been silenced because he's just a fucking moron.
but the essential part was like people are getting so woke that soon all of us white men that are just talking real talk like Joe Rogan likes to talk is like, no, we're all
Like
going to be cancelled and shut down because we have
like being
opinions.
being an anti-vaxxer.
Like you're sitting, as you said, like as we said, like the most listened to podcast on all of Spotify.
Zero self-awareness.
Paid him
$50 million.
Continue talking uncensored on their platform, and he's like, "I'm going to get cancelled soon because of wokeness."
It's like man who's paid $50 million to speak on the most subscribed to podcast on Spotify complains about the fact that no one wants to listen to him.
Someone says here, like Markiplier might have nudged him out of the #1 spot on Spotify. Good. Either way, like he's in the top echelon of most listened to people on Spotify, and like wokeness is referring to just people like learning to call people out for shit, basically.
Well, oddly enough, there was another thing I noticed about that. So we just quickly, speaking of Joe Rogan, there's a much better person with the last name Rogan who had the exact opposite response to this. So Seth Rogen
Okay.
recently appeared on, I believe let's double check here, Good Morning Britain.
Oh, right.
And the question of cancel culture and wokeness was broached. And not Joe Rogan, Seth Rogen said, and in part, there are certain jokes that for sure have not aged well, but that's the nature of comedy. I think conceptually, like in regards to his own movies and jokes aging poorly, conceptually the movies are sound. And I think is the reason they've lasted for as long as they have, and that people are still watching them today. Jokes are not things that are necessarily built to last. To me, when I see comedians complaining about this kind of thing, I don't understand what they're complaining about. If you made a joke that's aged terribly, accept it. And if you don't think it's aged terribly, then say that.
Okay.
So basically, he's just like, look, if you're being called out for making shit jokes, maybe you've just made a shit joke.
Yeah, and he's again acknowledging the fact that back in the time that those jokes were made, they were at least like more acceptable than what they are now. And he's from the sounds of it, going, I put my hands
Reflecting
up
on
and
them.
say some of those they don't age well, and you know what? Fair enough, but I think he hits a good point of on a top conceptual level, those movies hold up still, but then some of the actual jokes that they make, they probably wouldn't make anymore.
Yeah, and like you know what, it's not you being cancelled to say that. And then he continues later in the interview, in response to people being cancelled on Twitter.
Okay, yeah.
For making offensive jokes. And he says, I was never a comedian that made jokes that were truly designed to target groups that were subjugated in some way. Have we done that without realizing it? Definitely. And those things in our movies are out there, and they're things I am not that I am more than happy to say have not aged well. Like, own up to his own mistakes. But in my Twitter, I never made a joke that's outwardly horrific in some way. And if you have, I would question why you did that. Saying terrible things is bad. So if you said something terrible, then it's something you should confront in some way, shape, or form. I don't think that's cancel culture. That you saying something terrible if that's what you've done. And it's just like, that's all you need to say, isn't it? It's like, it's not you being cancelled. You said something shitty that people don't like, and you're being held accountable for it. If you don't think it's shitty, you're more than welcome to say, I disagree with you.
Yeah, for sure. But I think he's pretty spot on there. I can't add much to that, but yeah,
There isn't much to say, but I just thought it was like a really good segue from Joe Rogan screaming about I can't say anything. And there's another guy with the same last name. He went, look, if you say something shit and people call you out for it, fucking own it, mate.
Yeah. And I don't even think that Joe Rogan has specifically been called out for anything. I don't think he's been like responsive to a criticism.
Never, no. He always doubles down.
He's just decided, I really don't like the fact that some people get called out for their bullshit. I think I've done enough bullshit that one day I might get called out for it.
It's whenever you see stuff like men, because again, it's always men, when they see people getting called out for sexual harassment and stuff like that, going, come on, we're just being too hard on these people. It's like, I always look at that and just side eye it and go, what have you done?
Yeah. Why are you defending this?
Like, what have you done where you're worried that it's like, in a just world, no one should care about someone getting called out for being a creepy sex pest or just a huge piece of shit.
But I just say, like, when somebody does defend that, I go, whoa, I think we're being a bit harsh here. It's like,
you're being a bit quick to judge this person now, aren't you?
Yeah, what are you hiding?
Obviously, maybe that's not a fair way of looking at it, but at the same time, no, fuck them. People like devil's advocate, man. I can't stand it. There's no worse. Or the contrarian. It's like, I'm just asking questions, guys. It's like, no, you're just being a piece of shit.
And yeah, obviously, if it's a genuine discussion, I don't mind a devil advocate, but when it's like this type of discussion of, oh no, somebody turned out to be awful person, and they're like, whoa, let's calm down, let's not judge them too fast. It's like, no, it's been proven they are a horrible bastard. Like, kill them, not kill them, obviously. Like give them some fucking
kill any discussion that they're a part of, because they don't, like, you forfeited your right to like speak in the public sphere with any sort of authority. And
I'm definitely not condoning the death sentence here.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, no, just kill any discussion about it. Like, there's no point having that discussion. It's not a discussion. Like, it's just a simple case of morality.
Oh God. Yeah.
And that's weird though, because I thought the thing you were going to bring up is the other thing you were going to mention last week and then forgot.
Yeah, because there was
Because
something else.
there was something else you mentioned, and I was a bit thrown off by that. So can we bring that up? Because you mentioned it to me after we'd finished recording last week's podcast, and I went, "Oh my God, we talked about that."
Yeah, so
I hope you know what I'm
I
talking
had
about.
two things lined up. I just
Yes,
figured that, white men being cancelled was a good jumping off point. But yeah, I do have.
Lucas, I can't tell you the amount of times I've gone on Twitter and it's just there's been no white people giving their opinion. I can't tell you, like, every time an issue happens and, like, I see the discussion about it online, I always think, I wish there were more white people here giving me their opinion on this.
No.
Especially white men. I wish it's like just other people are allowed to be part of this discussion. Them being a part of it is like, oh, that quote about, what is it now? It's like, when you've had all the power, equality feels like oppression. Like, that's never been more accurate, has it?
That's a good one. Yeah, I've not heard.
Yeah,
I don't remember hearing that in the past, but that's
I
a good one.
forget who it was who said it, but it's like there's been many variations. But it's like, when you've, like, and it speaks to, like, it's speaking truth to power of, like, just white men who just constantly had, basically, like, everyone listens to them. Like that Homer Simpson's line, isn't it? Of I'm a white male, age 30 to 45. Everybody listens to me. No matter how dumb my ideas are, as he gets like beer nuts and it's nuts with beer in them or something like that. It's like, oh, gummy nuts, that's it.
I'm trying to find
The
this
exact quote, yes. Because I
exact
actually had a
quote now.
discussion. I've been not thinking about it all the time, but when we had the discussion, I'm like, I wish we'd had a chance to talk about that.
Yeah, so we will get a chance to talk about it. I just need to. Did I send you?
You didn't know you described it to me
I
though
described it to you.
after the fight, yeah.
I've
So
like, I've sent the tweet a little while ago now, and I'm just trying to find it.
just you try to save it, yeah, to keep an eye on it. But yeah, like Joe Rogan continues to be an asshole, and he's like fuck him and fuck his giant square head. Like, his head is so fucking massive. 'Cause you can just tell he's one of those people. All he does is fucking steroids because he's got such a massive fat head. Oh, you found it yet, Lucas?
No, but I will. I will.
The worst bit as well, you won't be able to find it by Googling it because there's so many bad takes. This person is like had so many legendarily bad takes that I'm not sure you'll be able to find the most recent horrible shitty take.
I found it, Karl. I found it. Don't worry.
Okay, perfect. So Lucas, set the scene for us now.
So this is like a couple of weeks back now.
Mhm.
Ninja just out of the blue, as he fucking does.
Yeah, at Ninja, known sayer of the N word.
Known
Ninja.
sayer of the N word Ninja just decides to tweet out. So I'm in the middle of carrying a League of Legends game, about to close it out, and my brawless wife brings me a sandwich, in parentheses not asked for, with chips as I get a double kill bot lane. So how is your day going? And it's a little gif of like Leonardo DiCaprio, like just smugly sipping a little espresso.
Yeah.
And it's just
So Lucas, my favorite thing about that, first of all, is that he puts getting a double kill in League of. Or the fact, no, he wanted to clarify that he was carrying in a game of League of Legends more than the fact his wife was doing something nice for him.
Yeah, yeah. He
First
has
of
to
all,
sort it out. By the way, this is in
really
the middle of me carrying my team in.
Did you know I'm really good at video games? Like, well, you paid $50 million a year to play them, I'd expect so. But like the fact that in his head that's more impressive to people than being in a committed relationship where the person wants to just do nice things for you.
Yeah. And bless Ninja's wife, but I don't think he deserves that fucking sandwich and chips after that tweet.
No, and the first, and you can confirm this, Lucas, that when the first thing I said in response to that when you mentioned it last week is, like, oh god, I had a bit to go with this, but I'm not sure if my girlfriend wants to do it because she's in the other room right now. Let's see if she wants to do it. One sec.
Oh, Karl's like, well, I think I have an idea.
Last week we were going to do the ninja thing with his missus. You ready to do that? On. Let's see if we can try that. Okay. All right. So this is one of the things. So if people out there, if any guys out there wondering, like, oh, it was his girlfriend? Oh, she was not wearing a bra for ninja. It's like, no. Like, Lucas, as someone who lives with a woman and has spent much time with a woman, women don't not wear bras for the titillation of their boyfriends, do they?
No, they wear it because it's more. They don't wear bras because it's more comfortable to not wear bras.
Yeah, for example, hey honey, are you wearing a bra right now? Why are you not wearing a bra? There we go. If people,
I didn't hear that. So I don't know if it picked up.
okay, well, what she said is no, and when I asked her why, she said because I'm at home.
Yeah.
So we just shut the door now. Thank you. So yeah, there we go. And that is what cracked me up because the instant I heard that, I was like, well, his girlfriend's not wearing, or his wife. The reason she's not wearing a bra is because she's at home and it's the middle of a pandemic and she's got no reason to go out. But in his head, he's such a fucking child. He thinks it's for him.
Either that, or he wants it to make it out that way to other people reading that tweet.
Because he thinks that some of the weird men reading it think as little of women that he seems to think they do. So it's either he's a fucking moron who has never spoken to his wife and doesn't understand that not everything a woman does is for him, or he thinks his audience is full of men like that. And I don't know which one's sadder.
Yeah, I really don't. It's just God, like, yeah, I've never ever like spoken to a woman before and been like, well, I mean, to be fair, I've never really turned around to a woman and go, "Why don't you wear bras?" But
There it is. It's like when men see women and they're not wearing makeup and they get mad because the woman doesn't look as nice as they think they would if they wore makeup. Or when you men who tell women to smile more because they think it'd look nicer. And it's like, well, oddly enough, mate, I don't live to make you happy. I'm living my own fucking life. I'm a person with agency, and they can't get that in their head.
no, and I was gonna say like, I've never actively asked, but these conversations just come up in everyday life when you're around regular people. But yeah, like every time I've ever heard a woman discussing bras, it's not been like, oh well, I took my bra off to like try and get the attention of my boyfriend, or oh to try and tease a guy or do it for him. It's like no, I took my bra off because it was fucking uncomfortable and I wanted to be comfortable.
Yeah, and that's a conversation you can have with a woman because you're not a weird creep.
Yeah,
That's the thing, like the fact that you've had that conversation with a woman means that the woman was comfortable enough with you to have that conversation and know that you're not going to try and turn it sexual, which I guess more than like zero men would do, which is why it's so depressing.
Yeah.
And it's just that thing of like the moment I heard you say that, I immediately went, "Well, he's a fucking idiot. His wife's not wearing a bra for him. She's doing it because she's at the house and she was trying to do something nice." And his first response is, "How can I frame this to make me look better online?"
Yeah.
And I remember the thing I was going to say it's if do you remember, Lucas? You can confirm that my immediate response when I heard you read this tweet out was, "Why doesn't he just post a picture of his bank balance?"
I do remember you saying.
If he just wants people to know how big his dick is, just post a picture of his bank balance. It'd be easier than like post nice. It's just sad
Because it's breaking it down as well, isn't it? If like, not only is it, well, ha ha ha, my wife brought me a sandwich and chips without asking, how's your day going as well? Like the smug little gif. It's not just that, it's like, well, my braless wife had
Yeah,
to
that's
come in
what.
and bring it to. But then not only that, it's like, oh, my braless wife did it while I was getting a double kill. And I was carrying a game. And it's what, how many levels of like dunking on 13-year-old reading your tweets do you want? Like, come on, man.
It's the same vein as those people on like forums or like Twitter who say like, "Aha, you're the real loser. I'm actually getting a blowjob from two women right now. Haha." And you look at it and go, "Okay, mate.
Yeah.
If it makes you happy to imagine that that's what's happening right now, sure,
Yeah.
sure, that's what's happening."
And it's just, I can't get out of my head that his wife did something nice for him and he had to turn it into a creepy dunk on Twitter. It's
Post
just
a picture of your bank balance.
like, how are you not satisfied at this point in your life? You got paid like $50 million to stream on a platform that existed for 6 months. You'd have fucked off and lived the rest of your life happy. Instead, you have to tell us that your wife doesn't wear a bra at home. I don't.
Like, the thing is, that's something like all men in committed, like, respectful, loving relationships know because, like, they're not comfortable, which is something you'll know if you talk to a woman and have a
normally.
conversation with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just perplexed by the need of that man to continue to try and just gratify himself online.
Um, that's the funny thing though, because when you mentioned that, I thought you were going to mention the tweet that you put out of like, I'm not playing Fortnite anymore because people keep stream sniping me. And it's something like, I'm so tired of sadacks who play Fortnite 16 hours a day, um, uh, beating me on Fortnite. It's like, wait, how did you get famous again?
Yeah. And
Isn't it?
also, as we've said in the past, for the money that he earns, I would just go, you know what? Fucking stream snipe me.
Yeah.
Go for
I'd
it.
I would specifically just go on Twitch and just say, here's the game I'm in. I'll stand there in front of the screen.
You
You
know
could just
what? You
snipe me from
sub to
across.
me and I'll let you stream snipe me. Go,
Yeah,
done.
I'll just stand there and let you shoot me from across the map, so you can get like your clip for Twitch of like I snipe ninja. There you go.
Done.
It reminds me a little bit of the idea of cameo. This is going somewhere. This week.
I
I
forgot
have
what
not.
cameo was for a second
It's
then.
one way like record messages for people. Like many celebrities do it. And, like it's been really popular during lockdown because a lot of people have not be able to work, and then OnlyFans and other things of that nature. And I'm not averse to things like OnlyFans or Cameo. It's just that I can't be asked. I value my time and my free time spent like not interacting with like the wider community that I built
Mhm.
more than I'd value the potential money I could earn, say doing something like Cameo or OnlyFans. And a conversation I think I had in part with like one of those weird people who gets angry at me is you wouldn't be able to do that because like you don't like interacting with your community. It's like as much as like no one really likes having their free time interrupted, but if someone wants to pay me a tenner to call me a prick, I'd do that. So that's the one, isn't it? It's like blocking people on Twitter and Twitch and stuff.
Mhm.
I've like yeah, because that's my free time. When I'm scrolling on Twitter, I'm not being paid to do it. And if I'm not being paid to do it, I'm not fucking gonna sit there for the hassle that
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to deal with. It's like when you're working. So when I was working at a restaurant and being paid, and a customer was giving me shit, I'll stand there and smile all day because I know I'm being paid.
Mhm.
And it gets to a point where if they yell too much, eventually, like the money I'm being paid is not worth it, and I'll walk off.
Of course, yeah.
It's the same thing but because on like social media, I'm not being paid. So if I'm not being paid, I'm not dealing with this shit. But something like Cameo, if one of those sad acts out there who just wants to yell at me, wants to pay me 20 quid to call me a prick, I'll do it.
And it's like bizarre to me though that you hear stories of celebrities, especially as you say during lockdown where they're not working,
Mhm,
who went onto Cameo and then got inundated with requests getting paid for a
mhm.
30-second video message and then started not doing them. And it's like, but you've got nothing to do right now. Like, say you're an actor and during the start of lockdown when no filming was happening, and people are like, here's 100 quid for you to send a 30-second video message back to me. And they're
Yeah.
going,
That sums it up. That sums up like it gets to a point where your time is worth more than the money.
mm-hmm,
And that's what it's like for me. That's why I've mentioned multiple times before. I will at some point when the channel starts to decline, I'm gonna go like fuck it, I'm getting a cameo, I'm getting an OnlyFans, I'm gonna do all that bollocks. But at the time, as of right now, my time is worth more. I'd rather have the free time than I would the extra money I could potentially earn doing that.
mm-hmm.
And that might change when the channel's not earning as much money, for example. But I love that so much of just people like equating in their head blocking someone on Twitter or Twitch or social media and then someone being paid. So if I'm being paid to do it, I'll
Mm-hmm.
sit there all day.
Yeah. I'd sit there and just earn 100 quid an hour or whatever, taking shit from people. But
Yeah.
if you're gonna sit there and go, well, fuck you on Twitter, it's like, well, I'm not getting paid for this, so
Yeah. Just
block.
block, done. So I've had it
I don't
before.
have to have, as you say, my free time just ruined with people giving me shit for no reason.
Yeah, like one of the things I'll do very occasionally, Joe, when people just go off on one and just seemingly get very, very upset at me
Mm-hmm.
for whatever reason, I will just say, like, my DMs are open, like, send me a message. If you really, really want to talk to me that much, my DMs are open.
Yeah.
Try and talk to me. And I've only ever had one person take me up on that. And despite the fact they just had a direct line to me,
Mm.
I think it was about like blocking people on Twitter or something like that. And they were just like, they broke down why they didn't like it, but they refused to be honest with me.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because I knew it was someone who'd made multiple accounts to harass me. It's like, no, it's not me. I'm just a casual observer. It's like, no, it's not. You're using the same name. And then I like screenshot the other abusive messages they sent from me from like earlier in the year. And
And
this
it
is
was like
clearly
somebody
you.
using the same specific profile picture and
Yeah,
like same name and
yeah, like specifically doing that. And I like told, look, you are contacting me, you are talking to me directly. This is the most immediate you will like response you will have.
mm-hmm.
And I'm doing this out of like, the fucking goodness of my heart because you bloody do not deserve like my time right now. The very least you do is be honest with me, and they just refuse to say it was the same person. I'm like, no, 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 it's not me. Because it's clearly you. No, it's not. Why'd you keep mentioning that? It's not me. And then I just like went, look, if you're not going to be honest, I don't really want to give you the time of day. And then
Exactly,
suddenly they,
because you've given them that platform to have a frank and honest discussion, and they don't clearly want to be honest with you still.
yeah, and like the way I put it to them is, look, I do not owe you this. So like this is my free time I'm using for this, and you're
Mm-hmm.
not giving me anything from it, so I'm gonna go now. And they made another account to. Do you remember this one where it was they made a second account with the same name? Say, oh, my brother was messing. They literally did. My brother got on my account and messaged like, oh,
Yeah.
I know it's you. And that's
And
probably a bit messy. So I'm going to step back and explain where that comes from. There is a person who has, for about a year to 2 years now, just on and off, will send me abusive messages.
mm-hmm.
I believe they're one of the people who founded, or they're very active on one of the many hate subreddits dedicated to me and the channel. And just every now and again, they'll just get a bee in their bonnet and decide, I hate Karl.
Yeah.
And I know it's the same person because they use the same name on all their social medias. And for someone who wants to, for anyone out there who's wondering, why do you care that much? Like the way they talk about me genuinely scares people that I know. Like my girlfriend is legitimately frightened that if this person lives in the UK, they will find me and kill me.
Mm-hmm.
And the way they talk is like they are on the cusp of like being on the news
Yeah, yeah.
for like for doing something very dangerous. And as you might imagine, I want to keep tabs on that person. So I made a mental note of their like, handle and username. And just every couple of months, they'll come out of the woodwork and do that. And then just one day, I went, fuck it. I'm going to talk to this person. And it did not go well
Yeah.
because something is broken inside their head and they can't get through. Like they clearly have a vision of me or a version of me in their head that is a villain that they have decided. Like that is their focus. That's how they get through the day, I imagine.
Yeah, and I saw like a tweet that I found funny the other week of like,
Mhm.
I am not responsible for the person that you build up in your head. Like,
Oh, that's a really good way of putting it. Oh God, who said that? I
I
might steal that. That's
I
really
will
good.
try to just give credit to the person who tweeted it. So I'll like jump onto my profile to give credit to this person and like make
Yeah,
sure
that's a really, really good way of putting it. Like, I'm not responsible for the person you imagine that I am, like for
uh
good or bad.
yeah, this was uh at Romanova on Twitter. It was a
Ooh,
reminder to those that applies. The version of me you created in your mind is not my responsibility.
I was going to say, if you want to click her profile, is she the fighting game commentator? I want to say I recognize her name.
Uh yes, yeah,
Oh, there we go. I was going to
DBFC
say,
World Tour and MK11 commentator.
yeah, I was going to say like Small World. So I watch a lot of Mortal Kombat 11,
Oh,
so
fair, yeah.
it's like, I recognize that name. And yeah,
But
that's such a good way of putting it, isn't it?
it is, yeah.
Of like, I'm not responsible for the person. And like that applies both ways. Like we just mentioned, there's a guy
Mhm.
who very clearly like has this image in their head of what I am like as a person. And
Mhm.
despite having a frank and honest conversation with me, cannot get past that. Like even when I'm like, look, you are in my DM, like, I'm having a direct conversation with you. I'm being, and they just repeatedly accuse me of you're lying, you're lying. You're like, why the fuck would I lie? What do I have to gain from like, I don't know who you are. Just be honest with me and we'll work this out. No.
Can't do it.
And then in the same vein, like there's other people who think that like I'm their friend, and this is something we have to
Mhm.
deal with a lot, isn't it? Of just people being overly familiar
Yeah. And
because they
you
watch the
actually
video.
had this appear in your Discord not
I
long
did,
ago,
yes.
Carl.
I have a Discord now. You can find it in chat if you use like exclamation point Discord. Please don't be a penis in it. And it was just a dude was like, I think something like we need a meme page in the Discord. I'm like, no, I don't really fancy have it like having a meme page. I don't find memes funny, and I especially don't find secondhand memes funny.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to do that. And the guy just went, "Oh, Dad," and I just also went, "Don't fucking call me that.
Yeah.
You don't know who I am. That's really weird. Don't do that." And if they'd have left it at that, that'd be fine.
Mm-hmm.
But they had to respond, "Sorry, I was joking." It's like, no.
I hate that response.
Yeah. So
Because
Lucas, thoughts on that response?
the biggest issue I've got with that response is then you're turning it back around on the person for being offended. Like the moment it's like, oh well, it was a joke, and it's like I was an asshole or I did something to make you uncomfortable or whatever it is. Oh, I'm sorry, it was a joke, mate. And then that turns it around on the other person to then, oh, ha ha, like I guess I have to treat this as a joke now. And it's like, no, no, no. What you said made me uncomfortable. I'm allowed to feel uncomfortable. Like, don't just brush off my feelings or my opinions.
Yeah.
It's always this. It's a similar thing to like, oh, I'm sorry you got offended by that.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that it's a litmus test for like someone being a prick or being unable to like own their own mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said, if they'd have just left it at that, because I'm fine, like you make a mistake, but when someone's like, no, no, it's your fault. Essentially, it's your fault for reading what I said wrong.
You should have just laughed at it. Whereas if you turn around and go, sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Is that's fine. But when it's like, sorry, mate, it was a joke. Is that's you just completely brushing off anything that you've done?
Yeah, and you're not actually owning up to what you did.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought, and that led to me, that led to the tweet I made yesterday of, I love being a content creator because I can say something innocuous, like, please don't be a weird dick to me on my Discord, and someone will get very mad about that and argue about it in my mentions all evenings. Because that actually happened. A dude got really mad about that, about me banning this person. It's like, oh no.
Oh, did someone then stop in to like defend this person?
Yeah, of like you did it really harshly. You're making them feel bad, even though I always block out the person's name. And it's like I did not respond. I responded to that person once, and they proceeded to spend the entire evening arguing with other people. It's like,
Yeah, it's completely proven the point of your tweet of that person then comes out the woodwork to spend all night in your mentions defending this person.
yeah,
You can't write it, can you?
you couldn't write it out. People would say it's too unrealistic for
Yeah.
someone to be that ridiculous.
Like, oh, I'm going to spend all night in Karl's mentions on a tweet making a joke about the fact that you can put out something innocuous and have someone in your mentions all night.
And my favorite one is people who get so. Like I'll put something like that out, and they'll just go, "Oh, you're really like you've got really thin skin, or you're overly sensitive," and that goes back to that thing of, like, look, you can think that, but at the same time, this is my social media. I don't want to see this shit.
Yeah.
Blocked. And like, there's that great tweet someone put out where it sums up that 'cause whenever that happens, when they get really mad.
Mm.
And I think the way they sort of is like LMAO, they block me. It's like, yes, I pressed the button to make the weird man disappear from my mentions, and I do it again. And there's something magical to me about someone screaming in my mentions for an entire evening about me being thin-skinned and overreacting because they got blocked on Twitter.
It's the same as we always make fun of like the people who are like, oh, millennials are such snowflakes, they get offended by anything, as they then continue on a tirade of getting offended by us just, making statements.
Existing or just making, it said, like, statements of support for marginalized people.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I believe in trans rights. It's like, how dare you say that? Like, oh, why are you getting so offended for the trans people? Blah, blah, blah. And they'll spend all night on just a tirade then. You've set them off. Is that, yeah, okay, I'm the snowflake, am I? Yeah.
Like, clearly, I'm the one who's overreacting here. And that's what you do. And then what I do is I get my braless girlfriend to make me a sandwich while I'm getting a double kill in League. And I'm like, life's all right in it.
Yeah, but make sure you mention that you're carrying the team as well, Karl.
You know what, though? In that vein, let's mix things up a little bit now. Like, what is the most just my life is pretty good moment have you had recently? Have you had just one of those moments where you just sat there and you go, you know what, my life's all right? So I think I had that, like, it was a couple of weeks ago where I think I just got, it was like one of those unseasonably warm days we had recently.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those, and I've got like a big balcony window, so I opened that all the way up. And like me and my girlfriend, we just had like a really nice meal or something like that. I've been out for a jog. I've been to the gym in the morning, so I felt like really refreshed and really stressed. And it's like 7 o'clock in the evening. I'd done all my work for the day, and I was going through everything that I'd done. I went, yeah, I did like 3 videos. I wrote an article, been to the gym, eat some food, really nice. And I just got a beer and I sat down and looked out the window and went, my life's all right now.
And I failed to mention like one specific thing because I have that moment most days now. Like,
Okay, just when you just sit down at the end of the day.
I like today, for example, just before work is like because obviously today I generally spend the daytime of a Wednesday relaxing because we will do the podcast,
Recording the
then
evening.
I'll edit the podcast, then like we stream for a couple of hours, then I make sure like the podcast goes up on like scheduled on time and goes up on my YouTube edited and stuff like
Yes.
that. So generally the night time is quite busy and I just like chill out, have some food, watch a bit of TV or play some games, walk Cade, have a chill day. And like today I was just walking out with Cade, chill day, and then my night's gonna be like talking to
Play
my
some video
mate
games.
and playing some games, and this is a lot better than when I was like fucking just working my ass off 10-hour days at Nando, getting screamed at by people.
Yeah, it's just every now and again, it's just I like to take those just like a few seconds to go, life's not bad, is it? And I never feel like, tweeting that out like, some people do.
And no, and like I even at this point when you've directly asked me, like
It's like you
I
don't want to
still
mention it, do you?
feel a little bit guilty because I know that yeah, like we for the most part have it pretty easy now, and I know a lot of people don't, and I don't like to shove that in other people's faces.
Yeah.
And
And it's difficult, isn't it? Like it's a fine line to walk. And like it was I think recently I went to the park with the missus and we went to see some baby animals. And I saw some baby and that was a nice day. Because I got to see some baby animals. We saw goslings.
oh, nice.
Like little
Yeah.
baby little baby geese,
Yeah.
but then the mama geese was there. And she was having no foot. But like with me and my girlfriend are there like trying to reach through the bars as this goose is hissing. But to try and pet the gosling when like we're throwing like oats at the goose.
Like
But
we're
then the
safe,
goslings
we're safe, it's fine.
and that was like just like half an hour of us like throwing oats through a fence to try and lure geese towards us. So you know
But
what? Life can't be too bad if you spend it all throwing some oats at some geese.
yeah, that's the thing is, I'm not super rich or anything like that. But at the end of the day, I'm just like, we're not hard done by. We get by fine, and like I've got a lovely girlfriend. I've got a lovely little puppy. We're admittedly renting a house. It would be ideal to, own my own place. But you know what? Like, life's all right, and
Yeah,
like it's nice to just be able to sit there and appreciate that.
it's such a British thing, isn't it? You know what? Things could be worse.
Things could be a
That's the
hell
way.
of a lot
'Cause
worse.
I like how you mentioned that. Where like when it comes down to a British person having a good day, it's not because things are really good. It's because things could be worse.
Yeah, yeah.
That's such a British thing, isn't it? It's like, you know what? Life could be worse. And that's what, like, gives you the reassurance that you're having a good day.
But that, to me, is a lot better a way to look at things. Of like,
Yeah.
rather than waiting for really good things to happen to have to go like, yeah, like today's a really good day. It's just, well, today isn't a shit day, and every day that isn't a shit day is a good day.
That's a pretty good way of looking at it. You know what, Lou?
Yeah.
Just put that on a t-shirt and sell it. Every day that's not a shit day is a pretty good day. It's so British. It's
It
so
really
British.
is.
Oh, speaking of like, shit days, and just knowing that I'm getting older now, something happened to me that's never happened before. And it was I was
Okay.
just exercising in my house and I just felt a click. It's in my back here, just right in my back there. And I'm on the floor. I was just doing leg raises or something, I think, and I heard a click, and I couldn't sit up. Just couldn't move. I just thought, oh no, click, like something's just. I must have just like pulled something. Trying, I get a few seconds. So I wait a few seconds. I try to sit up, and do you know that thing where you're trying to sit up, and you know that in your head you are trying. You're trying so hard, and I just didn't move.
Yeah.
I was just like, I know I'm trying to sit up, but my body's just not letting me. And I lied there for a good 30 seconds. I was like, this might be it.
And those
This
30 seconds, I imagine, were like an eternity.
Yeah, it's like this might be the rest of my life, just lying on this floor because I can't see a situation going to move. And like, it was an entire day. I lost an entire day because I just could not move. I moved from the floor, obviously, but like I went, wow, this is what it's like to get older. Just every now and again, your body's like, you know what, fuck you.
Well, that's the thing is, like, as I mentioned at the start of this podcast, of like, I decided I can build a barbecue by myself. It's fine. And then today I'm just like, oh, my back. Like it's not like I can't walk or anything, but
Mm.
I'm in a significant amount of pain, like when I'm moving about, and I'm just like, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I should have asked for assistance. But
You know,
you
Lucas,
don't
that's
think
every
to
day.
yourself like, well, because I'm nearly 30 now, and like, fuck it, yeah, I'm still 18. I can just hammer that out in half an hour. It's like, no.
It's like I'm not sure if you've had this, but like Joe, when you drink now, and just you get those 2-day hangovers. Do you get 2-day hangovers yet?
No, I think I'm at that point, like, for the most part, where I mean, the last time I was really out of it, you were there, where I got sent home on a night out, like, before midnight, because just shots happened and I died.
Yeah, that was
Um,
like 4 years ago now.
that was years ago. That was the last time I was, like, out of it, because, like, I've just generally found that I know my limits quite well now. So unless something
Okay.
like that happens where, oh, it's my birthday and a bunch of people bought me shots in the space of 10 minutes, like I'm I'm pretty good with just knowing when to not be hungover.
Okay. So it's more just like just the inevitable, just creeping up of the grave, just
Hmm.
on your bones. Because some of my friends said to me, I just didn't believe until I did it. You know what getting older is, Carl? What is it? When it's making this noise when you sit down. No, no, that noise. That's the noise that means you're getting older. No, it isn't. And then it's like, if I want to say a couple of days later, I sat down with a cup of tea, and then do you know the thing we like? Oh, and I went, oh, and I went, oh, no, I did it. No, I made the noise. I made the noise. That means I'm getting old. Because you can't just
Oh.
sit down. It's that thing about I can't just sit down now. Like even
Mm.
now, I still want to go like, oh, I got to stretch out, like, and
Hmm.
that's it. So that for people who want to know, that's what being 30 is. Being 30 is sitting down and making that noise.
Yeah, I feel like being 30 is just, well, or, as I say, like late 20s. I've just noticed like my back's a little bit weaker and my knees as well. Like when I have to run, I can feel it a little bit more in my knees. And it's not
Oh,
anything massively significant. It's just like you can feel it a little bit.
it's like rust. It's just when you start saying it's that little bit of rust. Like Joe a kettle when it gets a little bit of what is this stuff lime scale on it.
And you
It
look at it
still
and go,
works.
right, in a couple of years, I'm going to have to get rid of that.
Yeah. Just think of that, but it's your knees.
Yeah.
Just your knees. It's like, oh no, not again. Oh,
Oh.
but oddly enough, though, like just speaking of feeling like shit, Lucas, you got the injection, didn't you? You're now like 50% vaccinated.
Well, yeah. I've had my first jab. Obviously, it'll take a couple of weeks for that first one to take effect, and then
Hmm.
I have another jab booked in like 8 weeks' time now.
Yeah. Oh, what are you? Because I'm an AstraZeneca boy. What are you on?
I'm Pfizer,
You're fine. Oh, we've got to be enemies now.
so
It's like Jets
apparently,
and the
like
Shark.
I'm a little fancy lad, apparently, sure. But yeah, I'm just lucky in the sense of like I have a few family members in the NHS, and it was a case of, look, you can get signed on to like extra appointments for when people don't show up. So we got lucky enough to get on that way. So we did sneak on a bit early, but I mentioned ages ago that I had this opportunity when it first started rolling out, and
Yes.
then I felt bad because people at risk were the ones getting appointments. Now it's just a bunch of 30-year-olds who can't be arsed showing up. I'm
Yeah.
like, well, fuck them. I'll take that appointment if they're not going to show.
And I was the same way where just the moment I got offered it, it's I'm taking it.
Mm.
You know why? 'Cause I want to go to the pub.
So
I just want to go to the pub and I'm tired of pretending that I don't.
I tweeted it out, and I liked your response of just like the gym
Just
starily
through the
creeping through
window.
the window.
Just soon, Lucas. Because that's the thing as well. I think I mentioned a couple of weeks ago where it's like everything feels like it's coming together right now.
Hmm.
Like for me, at least, anyway, it was like I got my vaccination, I moved to the office, I re-signed on my house, and like a bunch of stuff was happening, like in my personal life in regards to like bills and stuff that I'd sorted out like months ago that were all finally coming to fruition.
Right, yeah.
And then now it's like you got your injection, I believe, like, and then a couple of our other friends have also gotten theirs.
Hmm.
And
And
it's like,
it's
okay, yeah, soon, soon. And then the only person who's not got theirs is Nisha.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I feel so bad for Nisha
And
because
it's
she's the only one who's not been vaccinated. She's not even heard about it. Adam, her boyfriend, is fully vaccinated, and she's not even heard about the first one.
really,
Yeah, he's fully vaccinated.
there was
He
age
works
difference
in.
between them, or
No, it's only back a year or so, but it's because he works in retail.
Okay. Yeah,
So he was
like
just able front at queue.
fair enough, but like yeah, I think I would have been in the same situation of Nisha if like I didn't get lucky and have that connection. But yeah, that's because that's what I was sitting there going of like, well, I've not heard a thing, and you were asking me that, you know, any updates? It's like, no, literally just you are sat there in the dark, have no clue what's going on, and it's just wait for the text one day. And like when you got yours, it was just like, come here tomorrow.
If I'd not ordered a pizza that evening, I would have not known that I was like saying I would have been one of the people who would you would have gotten my jab.
And
Uh,
it baffles me how many people seemingly miss it. Um,
it's
I
almost like
literally,
maybe they should have just done it better.
yeah,
It's
I
so shit.
literally as I was leaving, I saw like a woman stand outside that pacing. I was leaving, and then as I left, the man she was with walks out and go, "No, we were meant to come here yesterday. He can't do anything for us now. Got to go back on the list." And I was like, "How are you just like that? Like you're aware that you've got an appointment, but you fucked it up and got the wrong date. Like
Yeah,
it's the one thing you need to worry about in life right now. It's like go get
yeah.
your vaccine."
It's the thing is, you just I don't get it. I don't get how it's been handled as poorly as it was until I saw the headline earlier this evening. It's
Hmm.
a currently developing news story about just the thing happening in Parliament right now. Just the basically just the government having to explain why the COVID handling was such a like clusterfuck. And did you
Oh
see the
right.
news about Boris Johnson?
No, I generally like over lockdown. I've paid less and less attention to the news.
Well, this is a good story. Looks well. Boris Johnson, according to a report from is it that Alistair Cummings, that knobhead,
I
which he's
mean,
now
they're
trying
all
to save.
knobheads, but yeah,
Yeah, he's trying to save his own skin now. It's like Boris Johnson wanting to get injected with COVID on live TV to prove that COVID's not a big deal. And keep in mind, folks at home, that Boris Johnson later got COVID-19 and was hospitalized for like 2 fucking weeks. He nearly
yeah,
died from it.
yeah. Literally, nearly fucking died from COVID.
And what makes that so funny is that is literally an Onion article because there's that
Yeah,
famous Onion article of just the guy who's covered in sweat and it says man locks himself in car to prove that babies and dogs are cowards. Like it's
yeah.
that I am going to be injected with COVID to prove it's not a big deal, and he nearly fucking died.
And yeah, like to clarify, he didn't do that, but he
That's what
did,
he wanted
and
to
he
do.
did get COVID anyway.
Yeah, because he was shaking hands with people with the virus. And it's like it's not a big deal, and
Yeah,
then got it.
because the amount of politicians, not just in the UK, but the amount of politicians sort of adamant, like, no, no, I'm going to be a big man and still shake everybody's hand, and it's not a big deal, and that all of them got fucking COVID. It's like, well, yeah, that's what happens when you walk around shaking everyone's hand in a pandemic.
Yeah, especially when they're just coughing all over it.
Yeah.
It's farcical.
Hmm.
And as well, the idea, like it's a funny story. It's funny because he's a knobhead, and I don't care if he gets hurt.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's simultaneously terrifying that he was willing to risk his own health because presumably he knew that there was a risk, but in his head it was a calculated risk of if I'm one of say like the 80 or so 80% of people who are fine, I can use that as justification to open up the country and send my own citizens into a meat grinder to keep the economy open. 'Cause that's basically the risk he wanted to take in his head, isn't it?
It is, and there's also that quote that went around like a little while back that obviously he disputes, saying, I will let thousands of people die before we have another lockdown.
Yeah,
I
pile
will
the
let the
bodies.
bodies pile up," I think was the quote.
Hmm.
And it's like, no, 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 of course I didn't say that. I didn't say that. It's like, mate, that sounds like something you would fucking say.
It sounds like something a Tory would say.
Especially Boris Johnson, but yeah,
Yeah,
just Tories in general.
it definitely sounds like something a Tory would say. And speaking like, I remember one of my fondest memories from university is when for a night out once, I think it was like the Liberal Democrat parties or something like that.
Oh, okay.
At the university, you had like the political parties at university where it's like join, and then like no one ever did.
Oh,
But
right,
they
yeah,
still
yeah.
had, and I think it was like them or the Labour group at uni handed out T-shirts that just said "Never kiss a Tory," And the best part is because like so many people just wore those t-shirts, and there was like the tiny little conservative group in. For context, went to Sheffield Hallam University, so a predominantly a deeply northern university near exclusively filled with northern people from northern families, many of which are from working class backgrounds, none of which like the Tories. And there's this tiny holdout of like 40 people who were like, you can't do that's not fair. It's like, no, fuck you.
And yeah, like I think at the time that I moved, it was like because at the time I started uni, it was like the Lib Dem coalition, and Nick
Yeah.
Clegg was like
Nick
the
Clegg!
MP of Sheffield Hallam, wasn't he, or something?
Oh man, Nick Clegg, what a fucking knobhead.
And
Did I ever tell you, a friend of mine got a chance to interview him, and during the meeting, they just had like a photographer in the background and just took photos of him during the thing. And they got a load of photos of him like midway through a conversation. So, do you know like those ones where he's halfway through talking? They're just gonna,
yeah.
he just got them and he just had them on his phone. Just every now and again, he just posts them on Twitter of just like Nick Clegg just halfway through a conversation or like drinking a cup of tea with his like mouth half open.
Did you see as well, like I didn't see this through the news, but I say like I generally stay away from like the BBC right now because our country's a shithole and even worse during a pandemic.
Yeah.
But I did see the whole like Matt Hancock. He was like doing an interview on his jog today, and like he's like, yeah, anyone under 30 can, anyone over 30 can get an appointment for a vaccine now, and just runs away as they like try to ask him other conversation.
But
it's
they
just
should
that
have
clip
like
of him going, yeah, like anyone can book an appointment, and they're just sprinting down the street as photos are getting taken away. Like, no.
never forget that Boris Johnson was midway through an interview and just walked into a fridge. Remember that? This is a thing that happened, folks at home. If you don't remember this, or you're in America or something, Boris Johnson was being asked questions about COVID during the height. Is that he's the prime minister, like the leader, the figurehead of his entire party, and when he was being asked questions he didn't want to answer, just walked into a fridge and refused to come out. You just look at it and go, you couldn't write that.
I don't even know the context for the one I saw like a few weeks back of like he walked out of a building, stood there, didn't say a word, and just walked back into the building in front of a bunch of press. Like I don't even know what the context is, but I was like, that seems about right.
He just didn't want to talk to anyone.
Yeah,
That
he's like,
simple.
I'm here. I have no logical answers for any of this shit going on. I'm gonna leave.
It's like I just don't want to talk to anybody. But you're the prime minister. I just don't want to talk to anybody. It's not my job. It's like you're the prime minister.
He's a man that managed to become prime minister off the back of being a bumbling idiot. What the fuck did you all expect?
Just he hid in a fridge. It's amazing. Like, what was the other one? Is it that? I think it is that Matt Hancock dude, isn't it? That not bad.
Yeah.
Well, like he's just terrible in interviews because he just refuses to answer. There's something just innately frustrating about the politician's answer. I hate the idea that like where it's just the refusal to commit to any specific answer.
Yeah, of like,
and then when
you know, we're thinking about this later down the line. It's like, no. Like, what is your answer? Well, we're thinking about this and this. It's just constantly trying to spin the way out of an answer and ever committing to any single sentence.
So they never get called out on it later. And all I can imagine is just that gif you see every now and again of the gorilla just spinning. Like just them. Do you know that one? I want to talk about that because I'm never going to have an opportunity to talk about it again. Like, why are gorillas so good at spinning?
I don't know, God.
If people don't know, it's Google gorilla spinning. Gorillas are really good at it, and I don't know why. Gorillas just, for some reason, they're innately gifted with the ability to stand on the spot and spin real fast, as shown in the documentary Super Smash Bros.
That's true.
And I don't get it.
I did see a video that was an adorable gorilla video like the other week. And it was just, this is, whatever the gorilla's name was, DK. DK really likes tomatoes, so DK walks upright without using his hands when he has tomatoes in his hand because he doesn't want to crush them. And he's just like walking along upright, like not using his arms at all because he doesn't want to crush these tomatoes in his hands.
Like animals are so fucking human. Like those things are like orangutans. I love orangutan. One of my favorite stories about an animal is about Ken Allen, the orangutan, which is a real story. It's an orangutan called Ken Allen. And
that's a very human name.
Yeah, that's why it's so funny because he's called Ken Allen. and Ken Allen the orangutan would just escape from his cage. Oh, I want to find the article now about Ken Allen the orangutan. I fucking love Ken Allen. I'm typing right now, folks. Ken Allen.
I really want to know who sat there. What do we name this one? We've got like, DK over there. We've got Bananas over here. We've got like Chimpy over there. This one's Ken Allen.
Yeah, so this is, I'm just going to read the Today I Found Out article about it 'cause it's fucking hilarious. So, possessing a fine mind for strategy, mechanically inclined with a true and loyal friends and a fair amount of luck, the greatest zoo jailbreak artist of all time, Ken Allen, the El Chapo of orangutans. Born at San Diego Zoo in 1971, Ken's early life was marked by sadness. When he was removed from his mother's care, zookeepers felt on the verge of smothering him to death. Named after two of his rescuers, Ken Willingham and Ben Allen, after removal, he became rather comfortable with humans who helped raise him. Perhaps zookeepers could have anticipated Ken's later escapes, since even as a young adolescent, according to the San Diego Zoo, he would regularly unscrew the bolts in his cages at night, roam the nursery, and then return and put his cage back together in the morning.
That's the best part. The fact he puts the cage back together so people are, well, no one will know what's going on. No one will know that I've been doing this. Suspecting
something was amiss, the zookeepers ultimately caught him at this and his nightly fun was ended. As with many human teenagers, when Ken was 14, he decided to test his boundary in his first pen escape on June 13th, 1985, climbing up over the retaining wall of his enclosure. Friendly and confident, Ken reportedly calmly strolled along with patrons of the zoo, observing other animals before zookeepers learned of his escape. So he just walked around the zoo.
That'd be so good. You're just walking around the zoo. You look to your left, and there's just an orangutan
just chilling. Although zoo officials feared Ken's escape would create a PR disaster, as he was so mild-mannered, the opposite happened, and Ken ultimately became a folk hero. To the point, free Ken Allen t-shirts and bumper stickers began to appear. Not wanting a repeat performance, zoo officials beefed up security, including installing a large moat with a massive wall to keep the 250-pound orangutan in. However, just a few weeks later, on July 29th, 1985, Ken escaped again. However, this time he used his time a bit more productively and went to the pen holding his arch enemy, an orangutan named Otis. When zookeepers arrived, they found Ken pelting the orangutan with rocks.
Oh, God. Ken got vicious.
Just what happens when you turn up and it's just Ken throwing rocks at him. On August 13th, 1985, Ken called upon his ingenuity once again and found a branch of sufficient size and strength to use like a crowbar. Enlisting the help of one of his lady friends, an orangutan named Vicky, Ken instructed her on how to pry open the exit using the branch. Successful, Vicky freed both of them, and they were once again captured almost immediately. After his third escape, Ken was moved for a time while zoo officials spent thousands of dollars investigating his enclosure, even hiring experienced rock climbers to find every finger, toe, and foothold in the enclosure. Further attempts were made to improve the design of his enclosure by attempting to watch Ken probe his pen for potential escape spots. However, Ken soon seemed to figure out what his captors were trying to do and simply ceased such attempts when zookeepers were watching. In response, zookeepers had to resort to dressing up as tourists to clandestinely observe him. Finally, as a sort of general security improvement, zookeepers ran an electric fence wire along the top of the exterior wall of Ken's enclosure and turned it on. This prevented at least one escape attempt when Ken managed to make it to the top of his wall, but was zapped and retreated back into his cage.
Oh, God.
Seemingly defeated, but au contraire, Ken had merely been biding his time. And 2 years later, he escaped when the moat's pump went offline, which dried up sufficiently for Ken to walk across and hoist himself up over again.
You know what I've got in my head right now? Just an image of him, like, figuring out where the pumps are for the moat pump, and then, like, a Finding Nemo-esque scene of, like, sending an orangutan into the pipes to, like, block it up and be like, send the rock in, shove the rock in, like, jam up the moat.
This time, according to reports, Ken didn't return so quietly as in previous escape. When the fuzz came to take him home, he took off, giving zookeepers a bit of a fright as he headed directly towards the lion pen.
Oh, God.
That potential crisis was averted when zookeepers were able to catch him before he made it there. Seeking to distract him from his escape attempts and thinking that maybe he was a bit jealous of Otis, who lived with 3 lady orangutans, zookeepers put 4 females into Ken's cage, hoping to turn his wanderlust into lust. This completely backfired, however, as Ken recruited his new friends to join in his escapes. A few months later, 2 of his proteges, Jane and Kumang, found and transformed a 5 foot tall, a 5 foot long squeegee left behind in the pen into a tool to once again scale the wall. Jane made it all the way to the flamingos before having to be tranquilized.
Oh,
Kumang returned to the enclosure agreeably. This was the last of Ken's escapes. In total, the zoo had to spend approximately $45,000 to ensure that his enclosure was escape proof.
I love that though. Just right, we gave him like a harem of orangutans to keep him distracted. No, you recruited them into the fucking mission.
All you did is just give him more members of his fucking squad.
Yeah.
Oh, that was incredible. Just like though, that story sticks with me, and I'll give like some props. That's today I found out. It's not one of my articles. That's Melissa who wrote that one, and it's just the image of just the orangutan being like chilling, like yeah, I did it. I just love though that they saw him running towards the lion enclosure, like oh shit now.
With just rocks in hand, ready to go. Like, ah!
But it's like I think one of the biggest. One of the most popular stories on the channel, and unfortunately I had to take down because it got copyright struck. That's pretty much another point is about Stoffel the honey badger. Were you there when we recorded Stoffel the honey badger?
I don't think so. No.
You know what? Okay then. So for people, I guess like that's one of the videos that people always ask, like where did it go? And it got taken down for a copyright infringement, and like we just don't want another company to make money off it.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I'll now do another live reading of that for Lucas, who's not familiar with Stoffel the honey badger. So this is our sporadically updated series of people and animals who do not give a fuck.
Yeah,
We're talking about Stoffel. So for the first time, it's weird. I'm reading my own article. I do that every day. For the first time in our sporadically updated series detailing the adventures of people who were born without a fuck-producing gland in their brain, the subject of the article today is an animal, specifically Stoffel the honey badger, who's been called an ambassador for his species due to the astonishingly blasé attitude and penchant for escaping his enclosure. A resident of the Moholo Holo Wildlife Rehabilitation Centre in South Africa, since the early 2000s, Stoffel quickly became the centre's most famous animal resident. When news of his various escapes made the news. In fact, the centre is so indebted to the publicity Stoffel generates that they've named the centre's tuck shop after him and even paid a graphic designer to design a logo with him on it. So the logo for the tuck shop is just him. So Stoffel's journey to international notoriety began soon after he arrived in the centre when his handler noticed him just wandering around doing badger things when they positive they just locked him in his cage. Stoffel continued to mysteriously slip his enclosure and will sometimes be found attacking random animals or eating things in the kitchen of the tuck shop now named in his honour.
And as far as I'm aware, honey badgers are fucking vicious.
They are one of the most vicious animals on Earth, yes. So on one occasion, Stoffel attacked a pride of lions housed nearby, who were astonished at the size of his tiny badger balls. They initially didn't know what to do. After a while, the lions got the upper hand and badly savaged the poor badger, something his handlers assumed would calm him down. However, instead, literally the first thing Stoffel did after getting out of Badger Hospital was escape a second time to attack the lions again.
See, I thought when you said like attacking animals, I thought it was like, right, this honey badger got into, like the red pandas. And it's like attacking like a cute little red panda. It's like, no, he went straight for a fucking pride of lions. Like,
Quite. After this escaped attempt, the decision was made to move Stoffel to a better secured enclosure, not to protect him from the lions, but to protect the lions from him. To keep Stoffel company, a female honey badger was also put into his enclosure, the hope being that Stoffel would be too busy fucking to want to escape. Within hours, Stoffel and his new lady badger friend had escaped and were roaming the centre. It would later emerge that Stoffel had convinced the new badger to work with him and escape the enclosure together, and like she stood on his back and then opened up the little thing to get him out.
So what we've learned is just if an animal wants to escape, it doesn't matter how much sex you offer them. It's like they will escape.
They will. Frustrated, Stoffel's handler built an entirely new enclosure from scratch at considerable expense, custom designed to house a single animal. Stoffel. This new enclosure was basically a giant concrete basin devoid of any features, save for a few trees and assorted toys to keep Stoffel mentally stimulated. Again, within a couple of hours, Stoffel had escaped. This time by climbing to the top of one of the trees near the edge of the enclosure and leaping to freedom. Starting to get annoyed, Stoffel's handlers cut all the trees down, and a few hours later, Stoffel escaped again. This time by piling up all the rocks in his enclosure towards the edge and then climbing over them. In a fit of frustration, his handlers scoured his enclosure and removed every twig and rock until it resembled a concrete bowl with a badger in it. And later that night, the handler was awoken to the sound of someone breaking into his house. That someone was Stoffel. So the badger broke into his house.
Found out where they fucking live.
Yeah.
Like, give me back my rocks, you
The
bastard.
thing is, they never found out how. Like, that's the thing that he was like, how did he do it? And it turns out that what he did was he rolled up dirt into a giant ball and then climbed on top of the ball and then got out. So it says
Oh,
here that, yeah, it says here, so yeah, Stoffel broke out of an escape-proof enclosure and then broke into his handler's house. So not only did he escape from an enclosure, he broke into through a locked door.
mm.
And when his handler went to inspect Stoffel's enclosure, he found that the wily badger dug up a bunch of dirt, rolled it into a ball, and used it as a step to help him escape. At this point, he was forced to admit that nothing could hold Stoffel, and decided it'd be easier for everyone to just keep a close eye on him.
Yeah.
A few hours after this conversation took place, Stoffel escaped again by stealing a rake, parkouring it to the corner of his enclosure, and then climbing up it. And I ended it with a joke. At this point, it's no surprise they end up naming the section after Stoffel. He walks around the place like he fucking owned it anyway. And I'm going to try now, see if I can send on Discord just like the GIF. I'm hoping I can send this GIF now that you'll be able to see. Oh, no, it's a PNG. Damn it. I can't get the GIF. Can I get the GIF? Can I get like the GIF of this? Let's,
Oh god. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
it's
just the image of like
just
this
Stoffel.
blur of a badger.
Okay, so I'll send you like the GIF if you want to click. There we go. Oh, that's showing up now. And just look at how fucking like technical this badger is.
Oh my god.
So describe what you're seeing, Lucas. Because when I say he parkours a rake into the corner of the thing, he fucking parkours that rake.
So yeah, he gets this rake, he lifts it onto the top of his neck, then like rotates it around, grabs it with his little arms or legs, and then just shoves it up into the corner and actually props it up against the corner.
And then climbs up it to escape.
And climbs up it.
Because that's the thing, they just left it in. They didn't realise, oh, he's a badger. Well, what's a badger going to do with a rake? And it's like, he's going to use it to escape and go attack some lions.
Like, that's the thing, isn't it? At that point, would you not have learned that he will roll up his dirt to clump up a little ball and escape using that? Of course, he's going to use a rake to his advantage.
And like, just those stories are incredible to me.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the Ken Allen one is amazing. Just Ken Allen, because he's called Ken. It's Ken Allen, the fucking orangutan.
Ken Allen sounds like a character on fucking EastEnders.
Yeah, I want to see like Phil Mitchell versus Ken Allen.
Oh god.
I want the EastEnders cinematic universe, man. It's great. Have you seen as well? There's that like campaign that goes around every few years to change the term for getting pissed to getting Phil Mitchell.
No?
Because all he does is fucking just drink. It's great.
I don't know.
Like Steve McFadden, man, I love him. He's a great actor because all he does is drink. Go to those student nights, Joe. They like meet a celebrity, and it's like a really
it's like
bad
the Chuckle
shit.
Brothers, yeah.
Yeah, that's Chuckle Brother now.
Oh shit, yeah.
Oh, that's a rough one, isn't it? But like, he goes to them, and there's just like that trend of like Steve McFadden just at student events because like students fucking love him. Which is fair because he's a legend.
Most students I know got into a fucking soap of some kind.
Yeah, that was either Hollyoaks or EastEnders. Like, I'd always watch
Corrie or something like that.
Yeah, the EastEnders omnibus. It's on a Sunday.
Oh
Just
yeah.
watch it all.
I remember that just being on loop in my flat. Like every time I'd walk in to make a cup of coffee, it's just fucking EastEnders omnibus.
Yeah, it's like that. That's how I got into Horrible Histories.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's like the reason I got really into it is because I'd watch it with my housemates, like before nights out. Like we'd get really drunk and watch it before nights out. Like we had it on the recorder, and like my housemate would get annoyed if I watched it before he came in.
See, for me,
we had
I
a
got
standing
into
agreement.
Called Jeremy Kyle, is it?
Oh, Jeremy Kyle's so good.
Yeah, that was. I didn't really pay attention to it until I went to halls and just. Yeah, that was on loop just constantly in the flat. And then we'd sit there and all really get into these Jeremy Kyle discussions.
Do you ever play like the Jeremy Kyle drinking game?
Yeah.
Where it's like if Jeremy Kyle sits on that step, it's like, oh, you got to thinking he's drinking while he's on the step.
When Gareth comes out.
Graham. When
Graham
comes out, you got to down your drink. It's so fucking good. Oh, well, you know what? I feel like we've had a conversation about Stoffel the honey badger and Ken Allen the orangutan. I don't know how we're going to top that. I don't know how we're going to top a story about an orangutan escaping from his enclosure to pelt another orangutan with rocks.
I don't think that can be topped.
That might be the greatest mental image of anything that we've ever conjured on this podcast. So,
So
Luca,
thanks for listening to the last ever episode of the
the last.
podcast. Yeah.
So, Lucas, do you have anything you'd like to plug before we head off?
Yeah, sure. I'll just do my usual plug. You can find me here on Twitch, twitch.tv/LegendOfKanto. Also on YouTube at LegendOfKanto. And then you can find me on like Twitter and Instagram at KantoLegend_.
You got to mix it up a little. And then for me, the thing that I'm going to plug is it karlscornerqa at gmail.com.
Yeah, so hit us up with any like questions or anything that you might find on like a podcast submitted like question or like interesting thing to discuss or whatnot. But yeah, karlscornerqa at gmail.com.
And that's going to be next week's episode. And I believe then we're going to be putting those episodes onto the subscribe
So
list.
we haven't been allowed onto like Spotify's subscription thing yet or anything. So for now, we're just doing it as like the episode while Lucas can't record.
Yeah, so we might as well just start,
but we will be continuing those Q&A episodes afterwards.
Yeah, and so just send stuff to there if you want to, you have any like burning questions you need to ask us. And you know what? We can do the FAQ right now. My favorite video that I've ever done, I don't know. Like fact feeding is my job at this point, so like watch your favorite day at work. Like we record on any given day, like 3 to 4 videos on a given day.
Yeah.
So we have no real favorite video. Any articles that we want or any ideas that we want to turn into a video that we can't, no. Like we have complete creative control over everything that goes on the channel. If I want to record something and put it up, I can do that, as evidenced by the fact I will just randomly record myself just in my front room. Like I'm on Smash Bros right now because we can all use the channels. And if you think of any other like FA frequently asked questions that we get,
generally just like no suggestions or anything like that, and no like asking if we can like play a game with you on stream or anything like that.
Yeah, any self-promotion or just have you seen? So if you're going to ask the question, have you seen? Chances are it's either yes or no.
So try and think of something that doesn't take 3 seconds to think of.
Yeah, if it's going to be like, have you seen insert show? Maybe ask, what do you think of X moment in show or like show like this? Like, try and just ask something that can just devolve into a slightly deeper discussion. Or not. I'm not your boss.
Yeah, that's the thing is like just do your best to think of something that isn't just going to be a yes or a no.
Or just ask like 50 yes or no questions.
We could do that like if you want to do like a quick fire instead. Like,
we could fart that podcast out. We could fart that podcast out in 5 fucking minutes. So that'll be going out next week. We're recording that later. And I don't think we're recording that live, will we?
No, I presume not.
Or should we record that live?
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, because then maybe we can like answer questions live, I guess.
But then that takes like the whole.
It defeats the object. You know what? That does defeat the object. That's a terrible idea. Also, we're going to be live again in a couple hours, playing Knockout City. Is it?
Yeah, we're going to give Knockout City a little try.
The worst advertised game ever.
Very, very, very bad trailer, but it's on Game Pass, and I've heard people say it was pretty fun. So it's at no cost to us. Why not?
Yeah. So tune in next time.
Thank you.